Hello and welcome to the Elle Collective. I'm Kenzie.
And I'm Rachel. With over 350 weddings under our belts, we help you create a wedding filled with big moments, real connection, fabulous decor, and experience-focused celebration that will have guests reliving your event for months to come.
Each episode, you'll hear us share our favorite and not so favorite wedding day experiences from real life weddings. We chat about trends in the industry and interview experts so that you have the best tools as you plan your once in a lifetime occasion. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Elle Collective. Today, I'm so excited. We are covering trends. So all of those things that you see on Instagram, in Reels, on TikTok, do they actually play out well on your wedding day? How hard is it to execute? What does it actually turn out like in photos? We're speaking as the wedding planner and the photographer, kind of sharing a little bit of insight on what our opinion is. Between the two of us, like we said, we have 350 weddings under our belt. So we would love to share what works and like what does not. So without further ado, Rachel, I'm going to lob the first one to you. So talk to me about some of your favorite guest experiences. What are things on the wedding day that like get the guests involved, like have a little meaning behind them? What's your favorite, like from a photography perspective?
Oh, that's such a fun one. I think there's such a huge gamut there. I mean, something as simple as like having yard games during cocktail hour is part of your guest experience. So that's what we mean when we say guest experience, like what is contributing to how your guests remember your day, and really thinking through, being a good host and hostess and offering experiences to them that provide meaning or maybe harken back to your story as a couple. I was at a wedding this weekend where they had a guy in the corner hand rolling cigars at the welcome party and, hand foiling. I don't really know what the term is. The couple's initials on the cigars. And then they had engraved little matchsticks with their names on them so that, it was just a very like cute way to give the guests something that was enjoyable for them. I mean, I saw a lot of people smoking the cigars, but it was very personalized. And then it can go as big as, having a full-on wedding weekend. I see a lot more people doing that welcome party and having their photographer there as part of that. I go to a lot of welcome parties and watch as these couples are I really think the focus is on hosting, and being a good host and hostess for your guests, many of whom have come in from hundreds of miles away or flown in to be there, offering them something to do on that weekend and really saying like, hey, we're glad you're here. I think that's really meaningful. What have you seen on your end as the wedding planner?
I could not agree more of like this shift this year in it is, of course, a day about you and your fiance, like becoming husband and wife. And that's great. But all in the same breath, like I'm seeing a lot of people now focus on like, we want it to be a celebration that's like, sure, focused around us and like our love story and all of that, but also like catering to our guests and like making it a celebration that's like, like you said, like cute little tokens of like our love story throughout, like just hints of us, but like a really cool experience. And so throughout an entire weekend is like totally a trend that I'm seeing, going forward. One of my favorites this year, like I have a design client right now and she was like, I don't care so much about like, certain aspects, like I'm willing to dial back in order to have really cool, like guest experience things. So like, for instance, the seating chart, like having a fun welcome drink or like a champagne wall with everybody's name and their seat on it, or, just simple things like that really like leave your guests being like, oh, like that was such a cute little touch. I find that guests like on Monday when they go back to work, they're not talking about the overall thing. Like they really do hone in on these little details that make such a difference. So I feel like other examples too, like cute little like name cards at the table, or like I've seen personalized little thank yous. One of my favorites a few weddings ago, probably about a month ago, was they did on the back side of the table card, they listed off like 4 things that everyone at this table has in common. So, like it's always awkward to go as a guest, sit at a table that you don't know anybody maybe. And so knowing like, hey, you guys all knew us from this phase of our life, or you guys all are from this area, and just giving them things to talk about, I thought was such a cute little touch.
Oh, I love that. It's just so meaningful, and it's such a nice touch point. One of my favorites has been when the couple handwrites a little note to each guest as part of the seating chart. I think that's so sweet. And I mean, you see people in tears, and from the photography standpoint, it's just the best reactions because guests are not expecting that. I mean, it's becoming a trend, but it's not such a trend that every wedding's doing that. So if you're planning a wedding in 2024, like get ahead of that. That's something that I think is pretty easy to do. You could write those months in advance and have them ready to go. But it's just such a beautiful way to really say, hey, I know you set aside time in your very busy life to come and celebrate with us. And frankly, yes, today is about our love story, but our love story couldn't exist without all of you. And I think that's the biggest trend I'm seeing in guest experiences, that couples are really honing in on that. We couldn't be here without all of you. You've all played a role. Should we go on to the next one? I've got outfit changes for the next trend. Do you want to weigh in on that?
I'm obsessed. One, I mean, I'm seeing this not only like, I think we've all seen it for the bride, right? Like every great Instagram post has a second dress change to it for sure. But no, I would say that, we're seeing a lot of fun, like long dress changes for the bride, short dress changes with like a fun fluffy dress. Like there are so many fun things that you can do with this, but I'm also now seeing some fun like groom outfit changes, and like something as small as like some light up shoes, or like just something really fun to like bring out the dance floor, get people pumped. Like your guests want to get excited for you. So I am all for like, give them something to get pumped up about.
Yeah, I don't have a single negative thing to say about outfit changes. I've seen as many as 3 or 4 on a wedding day, and I'm here for it, And I love that I always tell my couples this, you have a little bit of celebrity status on your wedding day. Like you said, your guests just want to celebrate you. They're so excited to be there. So when you get that dance floor going, like right after your first dance, the dance floor is going and you guys sneak away and you come back and nobody's expecting you to be in a short dress and sunglasses and fun sneakers or whatever it is. Oh my gosh, people go crazy. Photography wise,
right?
Same thing as those guest experiences. Like they're not expecting it. Their reactions are priceless. It just kind of like bumps up that party atmosphere just a little bit. And yeah, I've even seen changes throughout the day. I think as a bride, it's something to think about is when you try on that beautiful ball gown-esque dress. They can be so beautiful. And let me tell you, it's rough to last 8 hours on a hot summer day, or I shoot in Florida too, on a hot day in November on the beach. It gets really hot and uncomfortable. Same thing for your groom. So it's worth thinking, by the end of the night, I'm going to be hot, sweaty, and ready to kick this off. The bustle isn't usually going to do it. It's still heavy. Yep. That dress is still hanging there. I'm not saying don't bustle your dress, but at some point in the night, you probably are going to want to change. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be a simple little dress, but it makes for the best pictures and memories. And I do think that most people are way more comfortable in them.
I've seen a couple of brides that are like, well, I spent all the money on this big ball gown. Like, I want to wear it for a while. And even if it's just for like that last hour, like, think about it. You've been drinking for a couple hours. You've been dancing really hard. Like, it's really fun to like change into something. And that way you're not getting on your shuttle or anything, or trying to stuff into a getaway car in this massive ball gown. Like that is not fun, let me tell you. So no, I'm always pro a good outfit change. And okay, Rachel, I the other day saw this thing where the bride like cut her hair during the reception.
What?
So like had this long gorgeous curls for like her ceremony, and then came back for the reception with like this cute little bob, like shortcut. It was the cutest thing. So just dying for one of my brides to try it.
Honestly, too, most of my brides are like, yeah, I'm growing my hair out, and then for the wedding, and then after this, like, I'm cutting it all off, So people do that. I did that after my wedding. I was like so ready to be done with long hair, but I wanted it up, so I wanted long hair. Yeah. So yeah, that's super fun. I thought you were gonna say, because I've seen this a couple times, where people actually cut their dress, like they just. I mean, you're never going to wear it again, right? It's like a nicer version of the trash the dress trend that was, a big thing like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. But you're doing it in a way that everybody gets. Did you?
Yes, I've cut somebody's wedding dress.
I thought you meant you cut yours.
No, not mine. No, I like one of my brides. It was very actually early on in my career. Like this was not a trend at all, but she was just like, it was her plan. Like going into her day, she's like, I didn't like the bustle that my like seamstress did on my dress. And so it was like her game plan that after her first dance, she just chopped that puppy off and off we went. It was,
Wow.
I mean, it was cute. She looked great.
Yeah.
Like no one knew. It was very like tastefully done. But I mean, behind the scenes, it was me with the scissors just snipping away.
Well, they actually make dresses now that are meant to be cut. You know, that are wedding dresses that are designed for that. So if that interests you, ask around, ask your bridal designer. But yeah, I think you totally said it. I mean, by the end of the night, you've got so much champagne spilled on you, and you're a mess. Yeah. Just even as a backup, I've even seen. I didn't have a couple do this yet, but I think it's really cute. I've seen where the bride and groom had like matching PJ sets for the end of the night for their exit, so they changed into that. Which, like, what a comfortable, cute way to show up to your hotel. You know, you don't have to undo the big dress there. You can do that at the reception. It's super cute. Like I said, I can't say anything bad about that trend.
Yeah, like a fun little sweatsuit. That is absolutely what I want to be in at midnight after a long, long day. So, okay, Rachel, here's my next one for you. And I am not going to speak from much experience here. So this is one that I really want your opinion on. I'm seeing a lot of people switch to this like direct flash photography. Not something I know a lot about, but I would love to like hear your opinions, hear like as a bride, what do I like look for, ask for, like how do I go about getting that if I love the look?
Yeah, good question. I don't want to get too technical, but just to kind of explain what it is. The flash is that thing that you see on a photographer's camera that like flashes, right? I think we all know what a flash is. If it's direct flash, it used to be the thing 5-10 years ago where the flash was a lot more soft, had a lot more of a natural look to it when people would use it. Like they had the soft boxes and the big umbrellas. That's still a thing. A lot of photographers still do that. I still do that because it is a beautiful look. But direct flash is when you directly point the flash at the couple or the subject. So it's a little bit harsher. It's very Vogue. If you follow like the big Rob Report, Vogue magazine type things, it's very editorial. It's very fun, very non-traditional. That's also something I do. So I do like a mixture of both when I'm shooting a wedding. It lends itself really well to things that are kind of non-traditional and fun because it naturally has that feel behind it. So those outfit changes, that's the time your photographer is going to want to pull out their direct flash, most of them. That's something you could ask them just directly on the discovery call that you do with them. What kind of flash setup do you use? Do you do direct flash? Like, what's your style? And I would suggest, having some inspo pictures. I don't normally suggest this, but have some inspo pictures if that's something you're really looking for, and say, do you do this kind of photography? Because not everyone does. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to get too technical about it, but it's just a very fun trend that's coming out that's not traditional in any way.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how I would, as someone who is not artistic or understands photography in the slightest, but that's exactly how I would describe it to one of my brides, is like, it's a really fun way to capture some of those more like candid, really fun, like it's not the like posed picture that your mom is going to necessarily put on her Christmas card. It's the like fun moments in between that like can come off like really, like you said, I think editorial is a great word for it. So
like you headed up to your suite for the end of the night if your photographer is going to come along with that, and you're going to dig into a cake or you're wearing sunglasses, like those really fun editorial things. That's where that editorial flash look, most of what you're seeing on Instagram right now, that's what those photographers are using, because you can't take your whole flash setup with you, right? Like if we're going to go upstairs and do some pictures in the hallway of the hotel, we're not bringing the softbox and the umbrella and all those things. So that's kind of where that trend developed.
Some fun like elevator pictures is what I'm envisioning right now.
Yes,
the like cute, quick, like make out in the elevator. Love that.
I do too. By the way, as a trend, they're super fun, but I got to tell you, that is not one photo, because let me tell you, you're constantly working against the elevator doors, but it's really fun to do. It's worth it for the picture.
I can imagine that logistically that would be a pain in the butt. But yeah, that makes sense. That's so funny. I've never thought of it that way. I just see the cute pictures and think, oh, how easy. Okay, talk to me about, here's one other thing I'm seeing all over Instagram lately is the champagne towers. I know we've seen like signature drinks like his and hers cocktails for years, but these champagne towers are everywhere. Like, what do you think? Love them, hate them, overdone? What do you think?
I don't think they're overdone yet. Like, this is something too that if I was a 2024 bride, I'd be like, we're definitely implementing that. I don't think it's not like the cake cutting where that's, I don't want to say that's overdone because that's a tradition. And if you want to do that, absolutely go for it. Like donut wall, that's something to me that's like, that was a trend, that's done, you know?
Yep.
I don't think the champagne tower has fully lived its trajectory as a trend. So yeah, I say go for it. I think they're really cute. It's a very like it's another thing that guests love. If you're thinking about that guest experience, they get to come up and kind of gingerly take a champagne glass off of this tower when you're done with it. The pictures are adorable, very editorial, very fun. There's your direct flash moment. Again, I'm here for it. And I think you can do that in tandem with the signature drinks. That's something that's very guest focused as well, and something that can lend some cohesion to your wedding weekend. You know, if you're starting off the welcome party with signature drinks, carrying that through to the next day to the reception, and then maybe ending with your brunch the next day also with those signature drinks, I'm here for all of it. And they make for the cutest pictures.
They really do. I would totally agree. I think champagne towers are like, they're so cheap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're renting, like, you have glassware anyways, and a bottle of champagne. Like, how easy is that? You know, it's not like you're hauling in this massive furniture set or anything. Like, it is a beautiful photo, so easy to do. Like, from a coordinator perspective, I'm like, yes, please, everyone do that. Here's one idea that I'm loving with it, and this is up for debate, and it's very much just an idea. But I've seen a couple of brides doing like, you know, all of your guests grab a champagne glass on their way in that like has their seating chart on it. So like they have their table number. They all go to their table. Well, then for Grand March, when all of your wedding parties coming in, I've seen like a couple of brides doing, they come in, do their champagne tower, all of their wedding parties around them, like super excited, getting the crowd all excited. So it's like a big moment with everybody's focus on it. And then your wedding party grabbing those glasses as their champagne that all of the guests have already gotten, and then doing a fun toast with it since everybody has champagne already. So I just thought that was such a fun little way to incorporate it. Again, it's a guest experience that gets everybody really excited.
Logistically, that makes a lot of sense to me because then the wedding party doesn't have to come in holding those glasses. And then it lends itself really well to, you know, after the grand entrance with the bride and groom and everybody's cheering and everybody's standing up, a lot of times that is the time for either the bride's father or the groom's father or even the couple themselves to stand up and say, welcome, thank you so much. Like, we're so glad that you're here. We're so thankful, you know, whatever their welcome speech is, and then do a little toast to the bride and groom. And sometimes people go right into the first dance from that. I mean, wow, that works so well to have the wedding party standing there with the champagne glasses that you've just poured. I haven't seen it at a wedding, but just thinking through the logistics of it, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, my coordinator brain was like, yes, let's do this. Because like you said, everybody is cheering and all excited. So you want to think of like the flow of the day from a guest perspective. Like, you don't want to keep dragging their attention away during dinner. So doing it at a time where you have their attention anyways, it's a really like high energy, fun thing. Whereas like cake cutting can be like more of a sweet moment between the two of you. This is like, you want people excited about it. So I just thought it was a really fun way to incorporate it.
Okay, mismatched bridesmaid dresses. What are your thoughts?
I am a total sucker this coming year for like different patterns, different colors, like different styles of dresses. Like, give me the whole gamut of like a fun garden party vibe. Like, I think that is so fun. I've seen tons of brides do all one color, just different dresses, or like styles of dresses, I mean, and that lends itself really nicely to like having been a bridesmaid myself. I love it when I get to choose the dress that fits my body type the best. And you want your bridesmaids to feel comfortable. Like, nobody wants to stand up there in a dress that they don't feel great in. So, you know, then like you choosing a color and like a texture and then letting them kind of go wild with that, I think is a really polite thing to do for sure and considerate thing for your bridesmaids. I'm still seeing, like, I have a few brides next year I know that I've designed their wedding and they were like, I want like all off the shoulder black dresses, you know, and that is like a clean, timeless look for sure. And so I'm not going to like poo-poo on that, but also do think it's fun to offer a variety.
I really don't know how people are pulling it off, to be honest with you, because some of them are totally, I mean, they're really mismatched, and yet it looks beautiful together. And I have no idea how that's being coordinated. So you as a designer can maybe fill me in on how brides are pulling this off. But yeah, like you said, I think it's a really nice way. I think that, you know, 10 years ago, that was more the trend to be like, well, I want everybody to match, but I want them to pick their style, like you're saying. I think that trend's kind of older. The trend I'm thinking of is like when they're really mismatched, you know, like you all went to totally different stores and I don't even know if you had a color palette, but it works, you know, and I love that look. I'm here for that. And I think that it does lend itself well to, everyone has different body types and different comfort levels with what they're wearing. And this way they don't look like they're wearing a bridesmaid dress. It's a little less formal, a little less traditional, but it can still be very, very high end. It can lend itself well to a black tie event, but it just has a little bit more of that fun element to it, I guess. I think it photographs really well. Everyone seems very comfortable with what they're wearing, which is a big thing in how the photos turn out.
It can be these really wild, bright colors, like a very wide variety. Or I've also seen it of like a more dialed back color palette, but like all different and all different textures, all different colors. But like you said, has this like very elegant black tie feel to it. And everybody feels great, looks great, and it's photographed well. So I love also that you're like, everybody went to a different store and just randomly chose, because as a wedding designer, I am definitely sometimes the mastermind behind sending out those dresses of like, okay, so if we have 7 bridesmaids, I need 7 dresses that are going to look well together, but mismatch and make it look like we didn't plan this. So I love that, you know, sometimes it can look like this very like abstract idea, but dialed in, we do have some strategy behind it for sure.
If you do you have any tips out there for brides who want that look but have a bigger wedding party, and how do you navigate like the emotions and the feelings of your bridesmaids? How does that work?
For sure, give guidance. Like your bridesmaids are there to like support you on that day, and a lot of them do just want like some parameters to like go within, and sometimes giving too wide of a idea can cause some frustration of like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Like your bridesmaids also don't know what you want. So giving like clear guidelines and clear expectations of what you want the dress to look like, and perhaps even a couple of links to different ideas. But then also not getting, I've seen the other side of that spectrum where sometimes you can get so in on the weeds of like what exactly you want it to look like. And if you do want that like really fun, you know, wild color palette, you got to let them have a little fun with it too. So like not getting too worried if like this blue matches that blue or whatever. It'll photograph well when they're all like, you know, you do that fun wedding party photo where they're all walking at different distances. Like they're not smashed next to each other. Like it's going to look really, really cool.
Yeah, and I second that from the photography side, because I do hear that a lot from brides where they're like, oh, what should the order be? And I'm like, don't overthink it. We'll fix it the moment of, or not, because honestly, it's going to look really good. Like the mismatched look is what you're going for. Just don't overthink it, I guess, is my biggest tip on that. Any trends or anything that you're seeing that you are like, I'm really not a fan of that, or like, please avoid this because of XYZ. Anything in particular, Kenzie, that you're seeing that you want to warn people about?
That's a great question. I have a lot of brides asking me lately about like a getaway. So like at the end of the night, the lights go up, dance is over, then what? And I have in the past seen a lot of brides, like the couple is just on the bus or on the shuttle at the end of the night, and they're going to the hotel with all of their guests, like either to the after party or, you know, elsewhere. And while I think that that's totally fine, I do think it's really fun to do some sort of a special moment. And this is kind of a newer-ish thing for the Minnesota market, I would say, but like you want your photographer there for that, you know, like you want to like have those special moments captured. Now, I will say my one heed of warning as a coordinator who has seen it all is 11:30 or whatever that looks like, handing all of your not so sober friends a stick of fire and running through sparklers at that point in the night is not your safest bet. So like we've all seen like when you do your sparkler photo, you know, more like right after sunset, well, you know, perhaps your photographer is there. If you're wanting to do some sort of a really fun exit, like a getaway car, or I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen bubbles or these really cool streamers or confetti. Like I've seen a lot of different things that photographed really well, but just making sure you think through the like logistics for your poor coordinator.
Yeah, I second that. I've definitely feared for my life and my hair and the bride's dress before when it's late at night and we're doing sparklers with everyone who's had, you know, 6, 7, 10 cocktails at this point. I would say most people, when I see them doing the sparkler photos now, not all, but a lot, yeah, it's kind of a fake exit. It's not really the exit at the end of the night. So it's like you after golden hour pulling out the wedding party, you know, so it's only 12, 15 people tops that are actually holding the sparklers. It's not all of your guests. It's a little bit easier to coordinate photography wise and planner wise. So I totally agree with that. What about last dance? Is that something that you're seeing right now a lot?
Your last dance, like with all of your people, I think that's so much more fun. Like when everybody's gathered in a circle around you and you get to dance with your now husband, you know, like I think that that's so much fun and like such a special moment to like live it with your people. For a while, I feel like there was like this Instagram trend going around of like, you want the last dance with like just you and them, you and your husband. And while I think it's special, I've lived it enough times that I'd like to point out a couple of the like logistical factors you have to think through. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware that at that point in the evening, like your planner is working on getting everything like striked and like torn down. Your catering and bar are off like bussing cups and stuff. Your DJ, you know what I mean? Like then like the wedding party is all stumbling around, again, not so sober anymore. And so evicting them all from the building is kind of this like clunkier process than it might appear. So like getting the room cleared, like a lot of times we do like bring up the lights, the DJ has to make an announcement, everybody has to run, like grab their purse, grab their coat and get out. Also, if the bathroom is in that main space, like no matter how many times I try, I cannot get your bridesmaids to like clear out of the bathroom super fast. So it is this like clunky, awkward pause of like 10 minutes, 5 minutes before you can actually get like an empty room with the lights dimmed to do this romantic last dance. And by that point, is it super romantic? Is my like humble opinion, having seen it a few times. So just some thoughts for you as you plan it. It like a lot of times these Instagram trends are not as like executed or like romantic as they may appear.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the logistics of the venue, right? I mean, I'm not a planner or coordinator, so you tell me if I'm wrong on that. Some venues maybe, you know, like I'm thinking a tent outside is not going to have that problem with the bathrooms.
Right.
So if that's something that's important to you, I think just level with your planner and be like, is this something we can do? Should we go somewhere else for our last dance? I've seen people do that too. But I mean, for me, I think that if the question was reversed, like, are there any trends that you're not a fan of? For me, because I don't have that planner side, photography wise, I'm just there to tell your story. However, that story unfolds itself, right? Like I'm there to help and give direction and make sure it's beautiful and captured well. But there's no trends that I'm like super against on the photography front. Although I'm happy, I always weigh in with my couples if they're like, how does this normally work? You know, I'm happy to tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
I think for me, the thing that I just want to warn people about when it comes to trends is that sometimes people get too caught up in them. And I know, Kenzie, you and I have talked offline about seeing brides that just stress about this too much. You know, like the worst thing to me that can happen is if before your first look, you're stressed about how the photos look. Like that is the last thing that I want you thinking about. I want you thinking about the fact that I'm going to see for the first time on our wedding day the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. You know, that's where I want your brain. Don't worry about the photos. Your photographer is going to capture it beautifully and capture it well. They'll tell you if they want you to stand in a certain place, but Oh man, when people get down in the weeds of like, should I tap him on the shoulder? Should I, how do we need to execute this? Oh gosh, please just do it the way that feels natural to you and the way that feels most genuine, because anything else, that disgenuineness, I can tell you, I feel it on the other side of the camera. I think your pictures are going to reflect it. If you want my opinion on a good trend, be in the moment. I think that is the trend of 2024 and moving forward. This is not, I mean, it is a production. In some ways it is. Weddings are just productions.
Yep.
But gosh, please try not to think about it that way the day of.
I think all of your vendors would gladly second that. Like, we will all feel it if you're not in the moment. Like, you hired us to take the reins on your big day so that you don't have to. Like, let us be not the host, but you know what I mean? Like, I want you to just feel like the guest of honor at your wedding, and let me be the behind the scenes working out all of the logistics, because here's the deal. As much as I love my couples and I adore you on your wedding day, like it's emotional for me. It's also, it's not as emotional as it is for you. Like, I want you as the bride to be able to just focus on the emotion, like be in the moment that day, and don't worry about what's happening, because like you said, Rachel, like it shows through the camera for sure. So, no, I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think that if we could pick one massive trend, it's just enjoy your day for sure. Well, I love that. Anything else, Rachel, that you want to leave them with? I feel like we hit, the big ones, and I love that. Just be in the moment.
Yeah, I think just plan your day, not around trends, plan it the way you want it to be. But if there's something that you see that you like, absolutely bring it up to your planner. Or, if there's something that you're like, I like part of this, but I want to kind of riff on it. How can we make it more us? Bring it up to your planner, bring it up to your photographer, bring it up to the DJ. Those are just some little things to keep in mind as you plan your wedding. And yeah.
Okay, well, a little homework for all of our listeners. Shoot us a message on Instagram with your favorite trend that you're seeing, or better yet, if you have a question on a trend that you've been wanting to execute for your wedding, how can I do this? Like, what's your guys' advice? We would love to chat. So shoot us a message on Instagram. All of our contact info is in the show notes below. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We would love to keep planning your big day with you, so make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content.
Want to weigh in on today's topic or have any questions for us? All of our contact info, sponsors, and links from today's episode are in the show notes below. See you next time.